Okay, I've already started this project. Kind of extreme. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but now I'm committed, so hopefully I can finish it. But this is on a 2-ton central air unit heat pump. And here is the old uh, condenser. And you can see it's all beat to pieces. But the reason I had to change it out, it had a leak in it. All the Freon leaked out of it, and I put a test on it. It's in these coils here, really bad shape, and it's already 20 years old. So, trying to save some money. So instead of getting a whole new system, which a lot of places people would recommend, I'm trying to just replace the coil. So I've got me one here online, and I've been reading up on how to do this, and been learning some stuff too, which is pretty cool. I didn't, understanding more and more how heat pumps work, but this part is pretty cool. I didn't realize. But right here you got this little orifice. And it's like a little jet. And it sits inside this little container, and it slides back and forth depending on if you're in cooling mode or heat pump heat mode. So when you're in cooling mode, see what goes in front of this is the high pressure line. It's going to go in here. So from your compressor from outside, you're pumping in high pressure Freon, and then it's going to be, in my understanding, it will be in a liquid state when it comes up through here. But once it hits this little orifice, on this side, you've got high pressure Freon in a liquid state. Once it goes through that small orifice, then it opens up on the back side into more of a low pressure state. And then that's when the temperature change occurs. It really gets cold, and this thing has to slide back and forth, because when you're in air conditioning mode, it will slide this direction. It's got a little gasket on it that creates a seal, and when it makes that seal, it forces the Freon to go through that small little jet, so it gets nice and cold. But when you go into wintertime, when you go into heat pump mode, then the Freon flows the other direction. So this has to slide back out of the way and allow the Freon to flow past these little notches. So it gives it a larger opening for it to flow through. It's no longer going through that small jet. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Something I've learned, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot more as this job progresses more forward. So right now I'm trying to get everything carefully mounted back in this case, not damage any fins. One thing I don't like is how these copper pipes are beat, even just in getting here on UPS, you can see where that line has been beaten on that line, and that won't last long. You get vibrations from the fan and stuff, you get a hole, lose all the Freon again. So I'm going to carefully reposition these lines and do something so nothing is rubbing, nothing knocks a hole in its again. So anyway, onward. Okay, so I've added a few extra safety measures here. So I got these little rubber, it's a vacuum hose is what I've used. Really thick wall. So anywhere where there's a chance of vibration and these lines rubbing anything, I've got it fixed where nothing can hit. Because you can see marks even just when UPS getting it delivered, they was banging on the coil some. So hopefully that'll take care of me not having any future leaks due to pipes rubbing on one another. That's my theory. It may be wrong, but I'm sticking to it. Okay, I guess it's step 2. We got the evaporator sitting inside of the air handler. So the more difficult part is now hooking all these fittings back up that I've taken off and cut off. And of course the trick is getting all this sealed back up with no leaks, because Freon is expensive. You don't want that stuff to leak out. So that's my next goal, is using silver solder and a torch and try to get this soldered up properly. So I'm going to line my pipes up and try to do that next. Oh, of course, another thing is I really don't know exactly what I'm doing. I'm just doing this by what I've learned off YouTube. So I'm hoping I'll be successful with it. But some of the things I've learned is, like when you go to cut these copper pipes with a pipe cutter, it creates a burr inside. So you need to get a little cute little tool like this, and you go in here and you ream it, and it takes that burr out. So the Freon will flow nice and smooth. Won't cause any problems. So I've got that done. I've got get everything shined up here with sandpaper, and you gotta be careful about that, because if you use sandpaper, you want to make sure the pipes are heading down so you don't run no grit up into the your line set. So just trying to get things in position, get things cleaned up. I got my torches here. I got to hook me up a nitrogen purge to push the air out. That's another thing I learned that I see where I notice a lot of people don't do this. They don't run nitrogen through the lines as they're brazing. And I'm using silver solder and a torch, which I've never really done that much before either. It's been a long time since I've brazed anything. So that'll be fun too. So I'll be learning all kinds of things on this project. We'll just see how it turns out though. Okay, my brazing is done, but what I had to do before I could braze, I had to flow nitrogen through the line set. So that's what this setup is here. And you turn it on here and you adjust this little bubble so till you have like 3 cubic feet per minute. And you blow it through the line set in and back out, so it's purging out all the oxygen. So I got that part done, got my gauges hooked up. So now at this point I need to test for high pressure test. So I can this pressure this unit is designed up to 300 psi. So I'll crank up maybe 300 psi into the system with using this nitrogen tank and test for leaks. If I got leaks, I'll have to fix them and retest. Okay, well step 1, I put 50 psi onto the line set. It's been there about 10 minutes, and I went inside with some leak detector and squirted on all my brazing joints, and so far no bubbles. So now I'll start cranking up the pressure a little bit more. Let's see if we can't get her up closer to 300. Here's my nitrogen. Crank her up here. Alright, we'll back it off a little bit. It's just under 300. Let me see now my gauge. Yeah, there's my gauge. I gotta watch how far my gauges go up so I don't blow a gauge. So it's slowly building up. So I'll let that tick up and we'll see what happens. Okay, I got her sitting right at 250 psi. So I'm gonna let it sit there. I'll probably sit there for a good hour or better. I'll make sure, see if it leaks off any. I'll go inside and check for leaks with my bubble leak detector. Alright, you're seeing here's my leak detector. I squirt on there. Now I've checked all my joints. We're sitting at 250 psi and I see no bubbles. So that is a good sign. I'll let it sit here for a good hour. Make sure it stays at 250. And I even check this nut back here, make sure it's not leaking. So everything's looking pretty good at the moment. I'll let it sit here for an hour. If it doesn't leak down, then I can pull a vacuum and start doing Freon. Ooh, we might have air conditioning today. That'd be nice because it's going to be like 100 degrees with a heat index today. So probably a great day to have some air. Okay, well I'm waiting for the leak down test. I'm going to run this to the car wash. And this is something probably, of course it's out of sight, out of mind. But this squirrel cage, this thing's about 20 years old. You can see how much crud is built up on these, and that can really hurt the performance of your airflow. And if you don't move enough air across your evaporator, then they're more prone to ice up. So I'm going to take this, I'll spray some degreaser on there, take it to the car wash, give it a good blast, let it dry real well, and then hopefully that'll make the whole system perform better. It is a four-bedroom rental that I'm working on, so we get the air working like it's supposed to without buying a new one. Alrighty, back from the car wash. Doesn't that look more better? Nice and clean. Now we can push some air. So, alright, put that back together. And lucky days, look at here. It's been 2 hours and we're still sitting at 250 psi. So that looks like I've got a good braze. And so now I can disconnect my nitrogen, pull that out, put a vacuum on it, suck it down, and get some Freon. We might have some air conditioning later. Okay, so we've been holding at 250 psi, so I'm going to drop the pressure out of it now. Get ready. Let that bleed off. Start pulling the vacuum. We'll be ready for Freon before you know it. Oh, and by the way, I'm installing all new Schrader valves. That's probably a good idea, being that they're 20 years old. So there's a total of 3 of them on this system. So I'm putting all 3 new Schrader valves in there, and we'll get the vacuum going. Okay, got the vacuum going. I'll probably let this run for a good hour. Pull a really good vacuum on it. Want to see it get close to 30. We'll see how it does. Alright, putting the final touches on here. Starting to put the panel and everything back together, and one last check. I'm making sure none of these lines are touching each other, because if they do, they'll rub a hole in each other and all the Freon will be gone. So all that looks good. Put that last panel on there, get in some Freon, and hopefully we'll have some cool air soon. Okay, vacuum is pulled, 30 microns, and I've got my Freon sitting here, got it zeroed out. Looking at my gauge or my tag, it tells me from the factory it's 4.88 pounds plus the line set, so you know, maybe around 5.5, 6 pounds. Give me a rough idea anyway. I'll get started putting the Freon in, and I'll let it run a while, and we'll see if we have cooling. Okay, folks, I think I can call this repair fixed. It's been 2 days actually since the last snippet of video, because I wanted to let it run, make sure it was going to work, and it's really been a scorcher. It's been 100-degree heat index the last 2 days. We've been another hot one today, so I've been letting it run. And let me see what kind of temperatures we're kicking out here. Yeah, look there, 57 degrees, nice and cold. But anyway, I want to talk about, just think about the power of YouTube. I'm no HVAC specialist, or haven't been to any school or anything like that. What I know, I've just learned off YouTube and read a few books, asked questions, and just figured it out. So, and this has saved me quite a bit of money. Because I imagine if I'd called a heat and air guy, most likely they would told me, it's too old, 20 years old, let's just replace the whole system. Probably be $3,500 easy. But I do not, on this particular unit, I put a compressor in it. I had a compressor put in about 5 years ago or something, and so I knew the compressor was still good. Now that coil that went in here that I bought, that thing cost me, I think, $560, and I had most of my tools. The only other thing I had to buy to complete this, I had to buy that nitrogen tank in order to purge the line set as I brazed, and to test the system when I was done, to pump the system up to like 250 psi. So that's the only other tool I was really out of. But even if I did have to buy torches, the vacuum, all that stuff, it would have paid for itself, because I'll use it on other rentals. And now that I've done this one, I have a lot of rentals that's got this identical system, so that will help me in the future. If the same thing happens, and I'm sure it's liable to, I'll know what to do. But anyway, that's the power of YouTube. If you got something broke, watch those videos, research. If you got a little mechanical skills, I took a chance. I didn't know if I would be successful at it or not. But the tricky part was doing this brazing stuff. I'd never really done much of that before, but it really wasn't that bad. Got it done. So anyways, we're up and running. That's a good thing. Everything's cool. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.